Hi, I'm Jeffrey. I'm a licensed therapist and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll go over a parenting technique that you can use whenever you want your kids to behave well or when you want your kids to stop behaving poorly. This parenting technique was developed by Dr. Michael Popkin, who developed the program Active Parenting Now. Active Parenting Now is an evidence-based parenting program for children ages 5 to 12. This parenting technique consists of 5 total steps. To illustrate these 5 steps, I will use a hypothetical example of a child who has not picked up their toys. The first step is called a polite request. This is simply asking your child nicely to engage in the behavior that you want them to engage in or to stop the behavior that you don't want them to engage in. In our hypothetical example, you would simply ask your child, "Hey, could you please pick up your toys?" Note, make sure to ask without any judgment. The child will either pick up their toys or resist picking up their toys. If your child does pick up their toys, then it would be vital to genuinely appreciate them and thank them for their good behavior. This appreciation is a form of positive reinforcement, meaning that your child is more likely to repeat that good behavior in the future. If your child resists your polite request, then we head over to step number 2. Step number 2 is an iMessage. An iMessage can be divided into 3 parts. The first part of an iMessage is stating how you feel. The second part of an iMessage is stating the reason for your feelings. And the third step of the iMessage is to simply ask politely again for the child to engage in the behavior that you want them to engage in or to stop the behavior that you don't want them to engage in. Let's see how that looks in our hypothetical example. I feel frustrated because I've asked you nicely to pick up your toys and I see that the toys are still on the floor. Could you please pick up your toys? Again, if the child picks up their toys, you want to genuinely thank them and appreciate them, as this will positively reinforce that behavior in the future. If they still refuse to pick up their toys, then we head over to step number 3. Step number 3 is called a firm reminder. This is a short message that gets to the point. We don't want to lecture a child. When we lecture a child, they're very likely to tune us out. So for the firm reminder, you want to raise your voice, but you don't want to yell. Yelling would cause fear, and we don't want a child to be fearful of their attachment figure for many psychological reasons. So let's see how a firm reminder looks like in our hypothetical example. Toys away now. The child will either then pick up the toys or resist to pick them up. If the child does pick up their toys, you want to again thank them and appreciate them for picking up their toys, as this will encourage that type of behavior in the future. If the child still refuses to pick up their toys, then we head over to step number 4. Step number 4 is logical consequences. You want to give the child a final choice. Either you change your behavior or you're going to face this logical consequence. By logical consequence, the consequence needs to be directly correlated to the misbehavior. So you wouldn't say either you pick up your toys or you're going to have no dessert for dinner. That wouldn't make much sense because the two are not connected. A logical consequence sounds more like either you pick up your toys or I will pick the toys up for you, but then you won't be able to play with those toys for the next week. You decide. Again, if the child chooses to pick up their toys, you want to genuinely thank them, as this will reinforce that behavior in the future. If your child chooses not to pick up their toys, then you want to make sure that you follow through with the logical consequence. If you don't follow through with the logical consequence, then your child is going to believe that they can just walk all over you. Step number 5 is only for when the child defies the logical consequence. You want to have an additional consequence for defying the logical consequence. For example, I see that you don't want your toys to be taken away from you. Either you accept that I will be taking them away for a week, or you decide whether you want an additional week without your toys. You decide. This is the 5-step method from Active Parenting Now. I hope it serves you well. If you stay consistent with this strategy, you don't skip any steps, I'm very optimistic that you will have a more peaceful home, less power struggles, and a child who behaves well more frequently. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And for more content like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and see you in the next one.